Now in the last demo, you got a little sneak peek into drag and drop effects. Now effects have two parts to them. They have the allowed effect and the assigned drop effect. Now notice down here at the bottom, the source element, or the item that you're actually dragging across the screen, is able to designate what sort of effect is allowed for that item. Then the target is able to set what type of effect is happening to the item. So for instance, right now I have it set up that the allowed effect on the source is copy, and the target effect is set as copy. So if I drag this into here, you'll notice that the icon that's next to the cursor shows that it can do something. Looks like it's a copy operation. And when I let go, you'll see that drop here is updated to a count of 1. Now in the drag end event, what was reported as the effect is copy. However, if I switch this so that they don't match, so that the allowed effect is copy and the target drop effect is set to move, now when I drag this over, you'll notice that I have a blocking icon. And when I let go, this isn't incremented because it didn't execute the code in the dropped function. And the effect reported in dragged end is none. So if I switch this to move, now it will allow it to happen. Now there's a bug in Chrome where drag end reports as copy even when it's moved. It's pretty well documented. Hopefully that will be updated soon. So if I switch this to link, again, it doesn't work. However, if I do make the effect allowed copy link and I choose copy, that works. Or if I choose link, that works. So there's a bit of flexibility built into the effect allowed setting. And you also have link move. So I can switch this to move, and that works. All, which works on any of them, and uninitialized. So there's a fair amount of code that I'll go through here with you for this sample. But what you want to remember, the most important part about this sample is to know that you set effect allowed for the drag source in drag start, and you set the drop effect, you set that value in drag over. So to make all this work, the first thing I'm doing is getting reference to the target. I'm implementing dropped, cancel for drag enter, drag over, and drag leave. For the most part, handle the styling, except for, like I said, drag over will set that drop effect. We'll take a look at that in one quick second. For the source, I'm handling drag start and also drag end. So for drag over, what it's doing is setting the drop effect equal to whatever I'm selecting within these radio buttons. And in this case, the value of each radio button is the same as the text that I'm printing up. So it'd either be copy, move, link, or none. Those are the values that you would set for drop effect. Drag start is doing a similar thing. It's looking within this list of radio buttons, and it's setting the effect allowed to whatever's selected here. Again, the values are the same as the text, so it'd either be copy, move, and so on. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that Firefox requires that you set something within the data transfer object. So in order for this sample to work within Firefox, I'm just setting text/plain to be an empty string. I went ahead and did it for Internet Explorer as well, just to be consistent. But in the past, we've either not handled drag start or set something explicitly within the data transfer set data function. Here, I don't need to add any data, but I have to pass in something, so I'm initializing it to an empty string in order to make Firefox happy. Now remember, drag start is for the source, so that would be for this item, as well as drag end is for the source. So within the event arguments of the data transfer object on the drag source, it reports back to you what the drop effect was after drop is done. And like I said, Chrome has a little bit of difficulty with this. When you're dealing with move, it reports it back as copy, but hopefully that will be fixed soon. But this could be an interesting piece of information for you if you need to know whether or not the drag and drop operation was successful or not. You could take a look at the drop effect and then implement some logic from there. So finally, the dropped function is usually where we spend most of our time, really has nothing to do with the effects. So at the top, I'm canceling the default behavior, getting reference to the target itself. Now what's interesting here is this is a point that I said we'd come to when we were in the module on selection. Now there's a span inside of this div right here that carries the count. And so what I want to be able to do is select that count item. Now I could just do document.querySelector, but to make a point, I'm doing it against this, which is the the container here that's the drop target. So the value for this is the drop target, and then I'm calling query selector against the item with the ID of count. And then from there, I'm getting the current count, incrementing it, and then setting it back to the text of that element. So like I said, there's quite a bit of code in here, but the thing that you want to remember is that for the source, you set the effect allowed in drag start, and for target, you set the drop effect in drag over.